My name is Leslie. This is my daughter, Amanda. Amanda was born in 1996, so we went through this a long time ago, well before all the new technology has come out, well before all the DNAs were done right away, well before even the internet was just coming around to our areas. So it was tough dealing with doctors that had never seen it before, hospitals that had never seen it before, NICUs that didn't know what to do. So immediately they just kind of pumped the kid full of food and hopefully those sugars would respond. And things didn't go as well as we had planned with Amanda. We almost wound up at CHOP right away, but we had a physician that chose to attempt to treat her medically with diazoxide, which did not work. She was in heart failure for a few weeks. And then we did have a PET scan, which I don't believe they do PET scans anymore, but we had one which showed that she was diffuse. And again, we were faced with surgery, but our physician, who happened to be Jewish, and there's a link there because I do find that a lot of hospitals over in Israel do not do surgery on their children who are HI. So I don't know if this just happened to be that he chose to do it this way or not, but we started on the octreotide, which was actually called sandostatin back then, and it worked for Amanda. So she was able to come home on 2 shots a day, but never took to a bottle. Of course, I'm sure a lot of your families had problems with feeding as we did. And 2.5 years later, my son was born, and surprise, he has it too. So I have 2 diffuse HI children. Both, thankfully, thank God, were medically managed on sandostatin octreotide. No surgery for either one of us. They were both weaned off medication. Amanda at 3.5, James at 2. And we've been lucky. You know, it's been diet this whole way. And for the past 7 years, we haven't had any problems. I used to go on the groups, but I found that I really had nothing to offer a lot of the families because their children were either very severe, have had surgery, and I really couldn't relate. So I kind of felt alone in our journey. Then last year, I happened to find Angela. And I found Angela through a search because both of my children started having problems with their blood sugars again, out of nowhere. And our 7 years of quiet came crashing down upon us, and we were now faced with a child, Amanda, who was now playing sports in school, running cross country, and was being, she's a cheerleader, she plays softball, very active, and now she's being transported to the hospital from school because her blood sugars are dropping, and she's having hyperventilation syndromes and just not doing well. And my son started running high blood sugars. So again, we were faced with, what do we do now? It came creeping back upon us, and I found Angela, started talking with her. So she's been a great inspiration to help us. And what we do find though, is that it does get easier as your children get older. You're gonna have times that you have problems, especially as these kids get older, they start going through puberty. Apparently, the rush of hormones, all the hormonal changes, the chemistry changes, throws everybody out of whack. So that was the answer we were given for both of our problems this past year.
Cool.
With both kids, again, as James starts producing more testosterone, it throws all of his insulin levels off, which that would explain his high levels. As with Amanda, once she started getting her period, it throws everything off the other way, so she started running low again. And from what we hear, this is going to continue until they're out of that time. So the next few years are going to be bumpy for us. So we feel kind of right back in the thick of things that we were before. But life really is no different for us. We've always managed, having 2 kids with it, carry 2 glucometers. They learn to check their own blood sugars now. Amanda's not as good as James is with making sure she eats something, or she'd rather just be on the go, and she doesn't feel like sitting down and eating carbs, and she wants to just go and hang out with her friends. But she's going to be driving in 2 years, and that's another concern. She's got to keep her blood sugars up and can't start having problems. So I think the message is, just to, keep trucking along. Whatever problems you guys are having now, from what the statistics find, it does let up. As the kids are managed better with diet, when you can control their diet, it makes a big difference. And Amanda and James are both real. They're troopers. They've done, they've been through a lot, and they've kind of held it together. And now it's time to kind of turn the responsibility over to her for herself, and educate herself about what her body needs to keep going, and not fall, and not have her blood sugars drop, and it's not so bad.
No.
Okay. So how do you do?
So how I feel whenever I run low is I usually get dizzy. I start to hyperventilate and my eyes dilate, and I make rapid movements with my hands. And that happened during school, playing a sport during gym, and the squad had to come for me, so they had to put me on oxygen. And once I got to the hospital, my blood sugars were around 60, right?
Oh, it was 59.
59. And it's not really different. All you have to do is watch yourself, and watch how you feel. If you feel dizzy or low, you just need to eat. You just need to relax.
So being a teenager with it is, she lives her life. There's not this little black cloud that hangs over her because of her HI. And with all of your kids, it's the same thing. It's so tough in the beginning, and it consumes your lives. It really does. But once this hard period is over, because I see so many little ones, and it's just that those memories of this hard period, you're still in it. But once you guys get past it, it's just going to be like the clouds just open up, and everything, the sun comes out again. And you're going to have your moments, and she has her moments, and she goes out with her friends. And I still tell her when she walks out the door, did you eat something? Every time she calls me, did you eat something? Did you eat something? Make sure you eat something. Take something with you. Make sure you eat something. And that's always going to be there. She's probably going to be, when she goes to college, I'm going to be texting her, make sure you eat something. Make sure you eat something. So the care never goes away, but the journey does become easier. And to have people like Angela, who just devoted so much time, so much energy, so much just personal time and effort, that's what's needed, because we didn't have that when we were in your shoes. It just wasn't there. And I think as the awareness gets out, more children, it seems that more children seem to be having it, but I think it's just the awareness is up, that the doctors are picking it up. So many kids were just misdiagnosed early on. So many babies may have died way back when, they just didn't know that this could have been the cause of it. And that awareness has got to be kept up. She was on an IV right after birth because she had a traumatic birth. And when she crashed that night, her sugar was 19. So if she hadn't been on that IV, she could have had brain damage. She could have had major seizures, but they've never had seizures. My son's sugar at birth was 0. They could not get a reading on him at all, right at birth. And it was only from me pushing them, and letting them know, you've got to check his sugar. This is gonna, we were at a different hospital. They had no idea, you've got to do this. That they did it. And their dad has another child. And when that child was born, he fought with the doctors, and he had to go above the doctor to get his son's blood sugar tested. He said, I have 2 children with HI. You need to test my son's blood sugar. We hadn't had our DNAs back yet. We didn't know that we had recessive genes. We had no clue. We didn't get our DNAs back until my son was 7 years old. He still had to fight with the hospital to check their blood sugars. They check their thyroid, they check everything else. They do a whole battery of tests. What is a heel prick at birth? And it can make such a big difference with some of these kids to save their, their brains from going low. So that's part of the awareness, is to mandatory blood sugar testing, and I think it needs to go farther than just pushing the hospitals. And I do believe Angela is going to the Texas State Capitol. Is that where you're heading?
Yes, ma'am.
Because it needs to go countrywide. It's one simple prick, you know, at birth and before they have
It only takes one
So that's our story. I really enjoyed meeting all of you. I really never thought that this day would come, that there would be so many people here, or even just on Facebook, on the sites that go through the same thing you go through, and just know what you're going through. And that's a big help to know that. So thank you.
Thank you.